Hey guys, in this video I will show you how to repair a broken carbon boom. I got myself a North Sales Platinum boom, I think. North Sales Platinum, which is about 900 euros at the moment. And it's broken. I got it for 100 euro. And I will repair it and show you how to do it. So you can use your boom for 1 century. I literally used my boom for 7 years. I got my first carbon boom. I used it for 3 years. It broke the first time. I repaired it. Used it for another 2 years. It broke the second time. On the other side of the boom, repaired it again. And just, I think, 5 weeks ago I lost it when all my car burned down. So now I got to get myself new equipment for the smallest amount of money that's possible, which is a really good occasion to make this video. Let's see what we got here. Ooh. It's not the newest version of the Platinum boom, but it's quite in a good condition actually. Okay, nice. And here we have the broken point. Oh, yeah. I think like this you can see it. It's actually probably in this area it's still in one part, and this is the broken part. If the brake was right here, we would have to shorten this thing, so we couldn't use the whole length of the boom anymore. But this is perfect because this just goes there. Okay, first thing we do is we cut off the grip because we want to reuse it after. Oh, come on. Shit. Oh no. Oh! Oh no! The next thing we do is we cut off both the broken ends of the boom. All this ripped and broken carbon is completely useless and we want to get rid of it. Then we search for a piece of wood that fits inside the boom diameter. It doesn't have to fit really tightly. And then you grind the boom inside to make the resin stick better and pour some resin inside the boom. Then make sure that the piece of wood is covered with resin to make it water resistant and stick it into the boom. This one fits really tightly. I was quite lucky to have this piece of wood. And then attach some tape around that point to keep the resin from escaping out of the boom. Turn the boom around to make the resin float around the piece of wood. And obviously that's the key to make this work even with thinner pieces of wood. Once that's hardened, remove the tape, sand the piece of wood and continue with the other side. At the back and side of the boom, you have to take care of 2 points if you do this. First, try to keep the resin from floating too far to the back end of the boom into the adjusting area, because in the worst case this will make the adjustment impossible. And second, you have to stick the adjustment end piece, I don't know how it's called in English, sorry, in to make sure the holes are in the correct position. Once you've done that, fix the both ends together with a piece of wood to make sure they are in one straight line. This step is really important if you use a piece of wood that doesn't fit really tightly. Unfortunately, I lost the recording of that, but basically you take a strip of metal or wood like this and tape it to the both boom parts. This is how it looks like when the piece of wood is completely glued into the 2 parts of the boom. At this point the position of the 2 boom parts is fixed. Now you grind down the carbon layers of the boom down onto the piece of wood. You want a really smooth transition there. If you grind into the wood and damage it, it's not that bad because the wood is not there for stability. It's just to hold the 2 parts of the boom in place. We basically replace the old boom by new layers of carbon. So the stability comes from the carbon, not from the wood. and this is how it should look like when it's finished. Now we laminate the carbon layers onto it. I cut out a 45-45 bidirectional carbon piece that is a bit wider on the one end and less wide on the other end. That way it will suit the ascending level of the carbon boom ends. And now comes the crucial part. We want to maximize the amount of fibers in this lamination in relation to the resin, which means as much fibers as possible, as little resin as possible. And to do this, we do two things. First, we try our best to roll the carbon patch around the boom as tightly as we can. And we can do this by taping the narrower end to the piece of wood. This piece of tape doesn't have any impact on the stability. Now use a lot of resin. Rather use too much resin than not enough, because afterwards I will show you a way how to get all the resin we don't need out, and that way maximize the fiber percentage in this lamination. At this point I will give you a quick time lapse again. Once that's done, comes the key method to maximize the fiber percentage in this lamination. Unfortunately, my camera died exactly during this key step of the repair, and so I repeat this step exclusively for you in a completely senseless scenario. So you have to imagine now that this is the boom, and I will now wrap this glass fiber around it because I don't want to waste carbon for this simulation, and then I'll see you back. Okay, again, this is the boom, 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 and this is the carbon. And now I take a pretty white tape and start far off the lamination, because I want to make sure I don't put the tape onto the resin because it doesn't stick to the resin. And then I go this way and I apply really not a lot of pressure, because that would make the tape do strange things. Oh, that might be too much pressure already. And you can already see the resin coming out here. And when I'm here, I just lay down the tape, I take a knife and I pick lots of holes into the tape. And as you can see, this is where the resin comes out now. Once I'm done, I go back from the right to the left, and now I apply a little bit more pressure. I cut that here because this is just to make clear how it works. Usually I would do 1 or 2 layers more of the wider tape. Okay, we start with the white tape because we want to build a solid layer of tape that doesn't push the lamination together at one place, and yeah, maybe you can imagine it. And then we use a not so white tape, because this will make it possible to apply more pressure. We use the same strength of our biceps, but we use it on a smaller area, and if you look at this, technically it will make it possible to apply more pressure per square centimeter or millimeter. And this is a really great tape because I don't have to pick holes in it. It is penetrable for the resin by itself. And you can see I apply a lot more pressure now to maximize the amount of fiber and to minimize the amount of resin in this lamination. Okay, I think by now this step is understandable. Let's move on to the next step. Okay, back to our real boom now. This is how this looks once it's hardened, and now we want to get rid of all the tape. But let's pause for a second and take a look at this picture. Do you see these small bulks? These are what you want to minimize by using several layers of wider tape. This is quite a good result. If you can do it like that, you're completely fine. In short, you want the surface to be as even as possible. Now we get rid of some more tape. I use a small blade for that, and then I start grinding. This might take a little while, especially if you're not the most experienced with the electrical machine. Take your time and rather use the hand grind thingy than taking off too much with the electrical machine. Once I grind it down enough to reach the tape I applied to the boom in the beginning, I know that I'm on the original level of the boom diameter. So now I can remove that tape and check the straightness of my repair. Wow, that looks awesome. Nice camera handling there. So now I can go to the last step, and that's gluing back on the grip. I use contact glue for that, but still it's easier said than done. Make sure to fix the grip onto the table with some tape, and use a lot of tape to make sure you glue where you want and don't glue where you don't want, and make sure that everything is in place afterwards. And this is the final result. I already used it, unfortunately without the camera, but everything went completely well. Alright, and that's it. If the video helped you repairing your boom, feel free to send me all your money you saved by watching this video. Or if you don't want to do that, at least leave a like and
subscribe.
See you the next time.